Today is January 12th, and I just finished watching the 2022 live action Resident Evil show. I will state that I was going back and forth about whether or not to actually make a recording about this show, so I didn't take any notes. I also started watching the show, I'm pretty sure, before Christmas. And it's only 8 episodes long, so it took me a really long time to finish the show, and it was just okay. I learned my lesson with Welcome to Raccoon City that I cannot go into any live action anything with the name Resident Evil onto it thinking about the games. I'm like, I need to take everything I know about the games and shove it in the trash and just come out fresh and clean. And this show was like a weird combined culmination if I feel like the early 2000s live action movies and the games. Like, it references bits to more stuff about the games, but more on to the movies than anything else. With the games, it's Raccoon City got nuked, and there's references to there's a really short reference to Ada at the end of the season. With its relation to the movies, it has the same style as that, more where it's everything is bright and clean. The games feel more nitty gritty and gross, and this show just feels like everything's all neat and polished for the most part, which I feel more relates to the movies. And also there's the entire the Wesker clone plot, which doesn't kick in until episode 5 or some shit like that, which is really funny because when I was watching that, I was like, oh, I'm starting to get more movie vibes from this related to anything else. And then at the end of the episode, they're like, and there are Wesker clones. And I was like, well, fuck, I almost DNF'd it straight from that. I was like, no more clones. I hated the clone plot in the movies. The movies are fine. I watched those before I watched any Let's Plays of the games. So, I go back and forth about the movies, but I fucking hated the clone plot. I thought it was so fucking stupid. But yeah, this show was just really mediocre. I'm not surprised that it got canceled. I feel like it didn't know what it wanted to become. I feel like it was let's channel the energy of the movies, but then try and relate it back to the games in a way that doesn't make any sense and is kind of low-key stupid. And I just because I don't know, I think it's part of my thing where it's just it's most of it's not revolving around the zombies or any bioweapons for that part. And I think that's just I mean, yeah, when it comes to Resident Evil, it's about the government corruption that is Umbrella, and how it culminates its way into everything. But they've established from a very early on point that that is what it's going for. Billy and Jade move in to the new Raccoon City, which up front says everything is owned by Umbrella, everything is controlled by Umbrella. It's we all basically know that Umbrella's this mega corporation that basically runs this entire city and probably the entire government at that point, but nobody cares. And it's yeah, I guess there's the shocking reveal to the kids that the Umbrella Corporation is not just a pharmaceutical company. But I feel from the audience perspective, obviously if the audience knows anything about the games, they already know that, but they established from the first episode that Umbrella's more than just a pharmaceutical company. And it's fine, but it doesn't lay any stakes or anything like that, especially because it goes back and forth between Jade as an adult and Jade as a teenager. And watching Jade as a teenager, I have no fear for her because I know that she will eventually become an adult. I will say I was very shocked in the last episode when Simon got shot. I was like, oh shit, I thought he was B's dad. Turns out he's not, so we don't know who that is. We'll never find out. And I was like, it was just a random thought that I was like, I do kind of wonder who her dad is. But now I'm like, well, it doesn't matter because the show got canceled. Which it was not good. I don't know, I feel that's the theme for a lot of video game adaptations, which is why I think with Five Nights at Freddy's, it's these aren't good, but they're fun, so I'll take it. And that's how I felt about a lot of the live action Resident evil movies is that they weren't good, but they were fun, and I think I would have enjoyed Welcome to Raccoon City if they hadn't like taken anything good about Leon and like turned him into this like shitty rookie, and I absolutely hated that movie for doing that to him. And in this one, I think it was nice that it was like pretty much completely new characters, with the exception of Wesker. But then you find out, like, I think it's in like episode 6 that like the Wesker that we know is not the Wesker that we've been seeing the whole time. It's a clone. It's like the Wesker that we know did in fact die in a volcano, which like they're like, yeah, he died in a volcano, and we're like, they're like a weird sequel to the games, but they make no sense. Like that's what I got from it, was that it like takes say Resi 1 through 5, like in the games, those are canon, and then this is like a sequel show on top of all of that, which like was fine, but I think in references to all of that, it just made it more confusing. They're like, we should still reference the games, and I'm like, no, just go a different route and just pretend that the games don't exist, because I feel like it made it less confusing in that stance. And it's just like, yeah, it was weird. I'm trying to think back to the episodes, but like I said, it took me like 3 weeks to watch the show because I had like no motivation to watch it, but I didn't want to start anything new, and I was like, I just gotta finish it. And I was like doing stuff while watching it too. I was literally cleaning and folding my laundry today while watching the show, so I was not like fully invested paying attention. I will say that the acting of the kids is really good for the most part. B's actors, she's not good, but she's like the youngest person out of the ensemble, so I'll give her a break from that. But like the teenagers, like young Billy, young Jade, and Simon are all like, they all did a really good job, especially young Billy. Like I think that actress did like an amazing job at portraying that character. Like I think it was really great. Like this quiet, like just wants to get through life kind of character, and then how like essentially Jade just starts shit for no apparent reason. I will say, like, I kept getting so mad at those two, though, for, like, the dumb, stupid decisions that they make. They're like, oh, yeah, we're gonna steal our dad's key card and break into this facility that we know basically runs the entire city, but we don't really care because we think they're experimenting on animals. And then, Billy gets bit, and then, like, and then later on, when Billy finds out that she's probably gonna die, but first she's gonna go on a killing rampage beforehand, and she's like, well, if I'm gonna die, I'm not gonna do it at home. I want to go to this party that everyone's been invited to, even though I know that the last person who got bit went on a killing spree. So I was just like, these fucking stupid ass teenagers. And poor Simon is just strung along for all of it. I was like, listen, this boy seems really sweet, but I need him to start thinking with his brain and not his dick, because he will just do anything that Jade asks him of. And I'm like, I need you to start asking questions sooner, instead of when you find out that one of your moms is being drugged by the other mom. And I'm just like, oh my god, this kid needs to think with his brain. It's not working, but it's just, yeah, oh my god. What else happened in the show? It was just weird. Oh, one thing that I did notice while I was watching this last episode is the cinematography is weird. It does a lot of like rotating shots, and some of them are cool, and some of them are just really bad. Like there's one at the end of like the license plate of the car that like Bert, Billy, and Jade are driving in to get away from Raccoon City, and like that shot makes no sense. I was like, what is this for? Why is this occurring? And it happens like at least once per episode. I'm like, it just doesn't work. It's really stupid. It doesn't work for me. I'm like, I don't like it. I definitely think I was more. I will say, even though like the stakes were lower, I think I was more invested in the kids plot than the older Jade plot. And I think it's part of it is that like older Jade just kept saying shit that I'm like, I know is not true. Like she goes on a whole spiel being like, but my sister's dead, and then we're like, okay, and then her sister shows up, and we're like, so the sister's not dead. And then like when Billy and Jade, like older Billy and Jade are having a conversation, and like Jade is like, how's dad? And Jade is like, he's dead. And then at the end of the show we watch Albert get blown up. I'm like, So is that conversation a lie? I think they were trying to be too mysterious in a way that didn't work. Like I definitely thought that like they would end the show with them explaining how New Raccoon City like had an outbreak, and then they never do. Like at the end of the tyrant, which I'm guessing is a tyrant, launches his hand out of the debris after the facility gets blown up. Yeah, I guess that could cause a breakout, but like not really. So like how did the world literally end? Like who knows? It was just I think it was just trying to be so mysterious, and like going back and forth with the plot just made it annoying, especially because sometimes it worked, but other times, especially in the last episode, it just kept going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and I was like, I stopped caring. I was just like, oh my god, it's just annoying at that point, and like people making dumb decisions, and Jade most of all making dumb decisions. Where it's just like I think she has the best intentions, but like as her sister literally tells her, it's like every time you do something, it gets somebody else killed, and it's like she never learns her lessons. Like at the end of the show, her daughter literally gets kidnapped. We're pretty sure her husband is dead now. So it's just like it was just yeah. I'm like because I was looking it up because I was like I don't think this show did well, and then I looked it up and I was like yeah, it got canceled, which does not surprise me at all. Like there are some things where I'm like I would be curious to see what they had planned for other seasons, but like obviously that's not gonna come out and that's not gonna happen. It was just a weird show. Mostly I just watched it because I was like, I really like Resident Evil, so I was like, I want to, see what's attached to this one and what it's all about. Like, I know it's probably not going to be good. And it wasn't. Like, and I don't know, I thought it would have, like, similar energy to or the live action movies, but I feel like it took the, like, cleanliness of the live action movies, small tidbits of action from those movies, and then made it really boring. And I was like, listen, if you're gonna give me a stupid live action Resident Evil, I want it to be like action filled. Like it wasn't scary too. It very much felt like, like an action show than a scary show, and it just like it was not doing it for me. I think I'm just gonna go back to watching Let's Plays of the games and the live action movies because I like those more. So yeah, I was just like, well, it was worth a shot. So I feel like I don't have much else to talk about. Like I said, I went so back and forth about recording this or recording a review on this because I literally can't find it on Letterboxd, and yeah, like I said, I went so back and forth about it, and I started watching this show. This will not occur for the most part, but I was like, I needed to vent a little bit, like not a very long tangent, but I was just like, I needed to talk about it at least to be like, I went through this, and then hopefully someone else who has gone through this can talk about it in the comments, or somebody else who's like, maybe I should watch this. It's like, no, watch this review, and then don't watch the show, because it's just not that good. I was just like, well, yeah, and I think the thing about Resident Evil is it's not just about the zombies, like, it's also about, like, the crazy bioweapons that they make, and it's like, we get 3 throughout this whole show. There's, like, one worm one that I don't even think Umbrella made. I think it was just, like, evolved from something in the sewers in England that got, like, mutated into this creature, and then we get the tyrant at the end, and then we get this like giant fucking alligator, and that's it. And the alligator was really cool, and I'm like, can we get more alligator? Except it was at the very end, so it's like, no, we're not. And I'm like, I want to see the cool, stupid bioweapons that Umbrella makes, because that's like part of the fun of the games. Is like the first game where it's like you get the giant spiders and the sharks, or it's like you get the alligators, or like all the random like sewer monsters that get made and stuff like that, or the plant zombies. Those things are fucking creepy. But like getting all of that, and it's like, no, you get regular zombies, the weird one that can control other zombies, the worm, the tyrant, and a giant alligator, which Umbrella didn't even make. The like what they call the university, or like the people trying to like essentially save the world from Umbrella, made the giant alligator. I'm assuming that, or they found it somehow. Who the fuck knows? But yeah, I was just like, no, not a fan. I watched it. It's done. I'm gonna move on with my life to better things now. So there's that. yeah, this was not a very long review, but I didn't think it would be. So yeah, well, I hope you enjoyed my short, stupid tangent about this show that no one watched, which is why I got canceled. So yeah.